Hi kids. Do you like violence? Anyways, so I went for a walk. Last month, I went into town. I decided I'm gonna go for a walk. And I decided when I got to town that I was gonna go to Victoria Park. So I walked up to Victoria Park and I looked out the little thingy over the water and stuff, and then I was like, okay, well, I want to go smoke, so I'm gonna go find a place to do that. And I was like, well, I could probably go to either like, I could probably go into the trees or whatever and smoke in there, but there's also Dead Man's Pond. So I decided I'm gonna go to Dead Man's Pond. There's a little bench over there. It's probably a frozen pond because it's fucking winter time and I'm in Canada, and it'll be great. I'll roll my old, smoke, have a good time, whatever. Anyways, I walk up there and there's a guy there. I'm like, fuck, I don't really want to go find another place to smoke. I'd rather just smoke right here. So I tell the guy, I'm like, I'm about to walk past him, and then he says something to me, so I said something to him, and then I said, will you smoke? He's like, yeah. I'm like, cool, let's do this. So we're about to smoke. I'm rolling, we're about to smoke. This guy's talking, he's like sharing whatever with me, and I'm listening, but like half listening, because I'm like doing something. Anyways, we get to smoking. I'm smoking mostly, and I'm passing it to him. He's not really smoking a whole lot. I'm like, cool, whatever, that's up to you. I passed to him second time, third time, whatever, and he's like, no, I'm good. And then he starts telling me a story, and now I'm listening because, like, I'm smoking, I'm listening, you know what I mean? And he starts telling me a story about how he got arrested at the RBC. And that's when I was like, oh, what'd you get arrested for? Because now I'm listening, and I heard the arrested part, and I want to know what happened. And then he proceeds to tell me how he, like, hit his ex-girlfriend in the face or something, and then he punched a hole in the wall at the RBC. I was like, wow. And I'd asked him what his name was, and his name was Steve. So I met this guy named Steve at Dead Man's Pond, and he told me how he hit his girlfriend and he punched a hole in the wall at the RBC. At this point, I'm like, and I'm putting my bag on, I'm like getting readjusted, and I'm like, hey, gotta go, because I don't want to hang around with Steve at Dead Man's Pond, who's like, got arrested at the RBC for punching a hole in the wall. Anyways, fast forward to today. I have to go pick up my check in town. Normally my check would be direct deposited to my bank account. It's not this time because my bank account had been frauded. And so I was like, okay, well, I'm going to pick up my check. I know that the check is from the Royal Bank of Canada, RBC. So I said, hey, well, I'm just going to get my check and I'm going to go to the RBC and they're going to cash my check. So I called a cab this morning. I get them to pick me up, take me to go get my check at the business center, get the check. Cool, that didn't take very long. There was only 2 people ahead of me. I was like, great, this is cool. Like, welfare office check day, and I only had to wait this long. Awesome, I'm doing great. So I tell a guy, take me to RBC. So he takes me to RBC, and I walk in there. There's a lady in there. There's a lady leaving, and then there's a lady in a wheelchair. The lady in the wheelchair says, just sitting here waiting for the bank to open. I said, oh. I went to go to the door, and that's when she said that. She's like, yeah, I'm just waiting for it to open. I'm like, oh, I didn't realize it wasn't open. It doesn't open until 9:30. Well, what time is it now? It's 9:16. Shit. So I have a cab driver outside waiting for me to pay him that I can't pay him until I cash this check. I'm like, well, I'm just going to wait, and like, there's not much I could do. I'll just, like, I'll pay for the time that I'm clicking through on the cab. And cab driver comes in and he's like, hey, I'm getting other calls. I'm like, don't know what to tell you, guy. Like, I want to pay you, but I can't pay you until I cash my check. Anyways, so 9:30 rolls around, or it gets close. I'm talking. Me and this lady in the wheelchair find out her name's Tammy, and most of her family lives in Calgary, but she doesn't have the money to go out there. But she really wants to. I told her she should. Hopefully she does. She hasn't seen her fucking niece and nephews in years. I'm like, relatable. Anyways, so I get in there. Because I'm one of the first, So I get to go right to the fucking teller. I get up there and I'm like, hey, I got this check. I need to cash it, but since it's from here, you guys can cash that for me, right? And she's like, yeah, no problem. You got your ID? I was like, absolutely. So I got I get my little fanny pack, pull out my ID. I lay my check down and I lay the ID down, and she's like, okay, cool. And then she's like, oh, wait a minute. We can't cash this. I thought, what the fuck? What do you mean you can't cash this? She's like, yeah, we can't cash this because it's over the limit that we can cash. And I said, what do you mean? She's like, yeah, it's like $200 more than what we allow to cash for people who do not have a bank account here. And I said, well, it's from this bank. And she said, yeah, well, I can't cash it because you don't have a bank account here. I said, well, can I open a bank account here? She's like, I can make you an appointment to open a bank account here, but there's not any availability until next week. Now, I understand it's Friday, but I got a cab driver outside who's now been waiting on me. He drove me into town, and now he drove me to the bank, and now he's waiting another 15 fucking minutes for this fucking place to open. Now, while I'm standing there and I'm telling him, and I was like, hey, like, I got a cab driver outside, like, I need to pay this guy. What, like, is there anything you can do? Like, this check is from you guys, like, or it's like, this bank, can you, it's like, no, the only thing I can do is you open up a bank account and you can cash this check. Well, I said, can you do that today? No, there's no availability until next week. I said, can you please help me out here? Like, I have a cab driver outside and I can't pay him until I cash his check. I said, is there any other banks that you can think of that might cash my check for me? She said, yeah, your bank. I said, I don't currently have a bank. That's why I'm here. And she said, well, I don't know what to tell you because it's not from any other bank. It's from this bank, but they won't cash it because it's from our bank, but we won't cash it because it's too much. In that moment, I understood why Steve from Dead Man's Pond fucking punched a hole in the wall at the RBC because this fucking twat wouldn't cash my check. I have to go back out to the fucking cab and tell him, hey, buddy, she won't cash my check. The look on this fucking man's eyes, on his face. Like, he's like, bitch, I've literally already lost like 4 drives because I'm sitting here waiting for you to cash your check. Mind you, he doesn't say any of these things. I do, internally, because I'm fucking dying because this guy's waiting on me and I can't pay him. So I go to the bank that had been frauded. And this is my like 3rd or 4th time there. The last time I was there, they told me, we can't unlock your account because it was frauded and you owe us this money that it was frauded. And I said, well, motherfucker, it was frauded and I didn't do it, so why do I owe you the money? And he said, well, I can't open your account. I said, so I can't even look at the account that you want me to pay off to look at. And I'm like, or anything. He wouldn't do it. So I walked out of the bank that day saying, well, so it's up to, I could just choose not to bank with you. And he said, well, that's your prerogative. And I said, you're right. And I got up and left. So now I have to go back to the fucking bank that I told them that I didn't want to come back to because they're being a fucking dickhead about me being frauded. I go in there today. I give the lady the check. And I said, something's wrong with my bank. I don't have my bank card. I said, I had to pay it off. I'm here to pay it off. I was willing just to cash this check so I could pay the cab driver that I already owe. This guy's been with me for like fucking 45 minutes at this point now. So I was willing to pay whatever I needed to pay just to cash this check to get it all fixed. I was just going to leave that bank account as is and be like, fuck you, thank you, bye. Couldn't do that today. Had to go eat my own fucking words at the BMO and be like, hey, cash my fucking check, pay this off. Mind you, however it worked, I got a new bank card. I got my bank account. I wanted to fucking punch a hole in the wall at the RBC, so I got it, Steve. Got you. Understood. Get it. Sorry I walked away after you told me that story. I get it now. Yeah. Anyways, that's my day. That lady at RBC is a fucking twat. I'll tell you that.